What if the most dangerous person in your life isn't the one who rages openly, but the one who smiles while quietly tearing everything apart? Sociopaths don't just hurt people. They infiltrate your trust, manipulate your reality, and leave destruction behind without ever getting their hands dirty. Unlike psychopaths, who often end up in prison for violent acts, sociopaths hide in plain sight, at work, at home, even in your closest circle, destroying lives one subtle move at a time. Most people think of danger as something loud and obvious, but the real threat is often the person who plays the victim, bends the truth, and walks away with your peace of mind. In this video, we'll uncover 5 powerful reasons why sociopaths are even more dangerous than psychopaths, and why failing to recognize them could cost you everything. If you've ever felt like something was off about someone but couldn't explain why, this video is for you. Watch closely. Every detail could be the one that saves you. 1. Sociopaths blend in better than psychopaths. Imagine meeting someone who lights up every room they walk into, effortlessly charming, warm, and endlessly generous. They remember everyone's name, offer to help without being asked, and seem to have a gift for making people feel seen. But here's the disturbing truth. That person might not be who they appear to be. In fact, they could be a sociopath, and the scariest part is you'd never see it coming. One of the most chilling reasons sociopaths are more dangerous than psychopaths is that they blend in so flawlessly. They can live among us for years without raising suspicion. While psychopaths often reveal themselves through cold, emotionless behavior or social awkwardness, sociopaths take a different approach entirely. They study human behavior the way a magician studies illusions, mastering every detail, every reaction, every line that earns trust and affection. Where a psychopath might fail a job interview because something just feels off, a sociopath knows how to win people over from the very first handshake. They analyze how trust is built and replicate it with surgical precision. They mimic empathy, charm, and even vulnerability until they seem more genuine than the most heartfelt person you know. They're the favorite teacher, the admired coach, the coworker who always remembers your birthday and brings coffee just the way you like it. But it's all a performance. They don't just act like good people, they outperform them. They excel in positions of trust because they understand exactly how trust works and how to weaponize it. That's what makes them so dangerous. They aren't interested in a quick scam or petty manipulation. They're playing the long game, earning influence, credibility, and control. Psychopaths often lack the patience for this level of strategic manipulation. Their disregard for social norms usually makes them easier to spot. But sociopaths, they play the part so well, they often become the most trusted voice in the room. They sit at the center of your community, your workplace, even your home, building a web of power and loyalty that's nearly impossible to unravel. By the time their true nature surfaces, it's usually too late. The damage is done. They've already exploited your secrets, pulled strings behind closed doors, and discredited anyone who dares speak out. And worst of all, the people around them defend them because they still see the mask, not the monster behind it. That's the silent, insidious danger of the sociopath they destroy, from within all, while smiling sweetly on the surface. 2. Sociopaths create chaos and play the victim. Have you ever seen someone stir up conflict, provoke emotional chaos, and yet somehow walk away as the misunderstood victim? Maybe it happened at a family gathering or in a work environment. Everything was going smoothly until one individual disrupted the peace, instigated tension, and left others feeling on edge. But by the end, they were the one receiving concern and compassion, while everyone else was painted as harsh or unkind. If this scenario rings a bell, you may have just witnessed the subtle devastation of a sociopath at work. The second reason sociopaths are far more dangerous than psychopaths is their chilling talent for sowing discord while expertly disguising themselves as the ones who are suffering. This isn't just manipulation. It's psychological warfare designed to fracture trust, upend reality, and leave people doubting their own perceptions. Let's take a real-world example. Picture a woman named Lena, who thrives in a cooperative office environment. Everyone respects her, and she enjoys close friendships with her teammates. Then enters someone new. Let's call him Ethan. He seems harmless, even friendly. But over time, subtle shifts begin to happen. Lena starts to feel tension in conversations. A colleague who used to confide in her now keeps things distant. Her boss, once supportive, begins to question her intentions and performance. Lena hasn't changed a thing. So why does everything around her suddenly feel unstable? Behind the scenes, Ethan has been quietly orchestrating a campaign to isolate her. He approaches co-workers in private, suggesting that Lena has been complaining about their work. He hints to the manager that she's becoming disengaged, possibly searching for a new position. He drops comments that make others doubt her sincerity and loyalty, all while acting like a concerned friend trying to protect the team. And when questions arise, Ethan feigns hurt and confusion, claiming he's the victim of false accusations and office politics. The result, Lena becomes the outsider in a place she once belonged. This kind of indirect sabotage is what makes sociopaths so insidious. They rarely confront or attack head-on. Instead, they manipulate others into doing the damage for them, like puppet masters pulling strings behind the curtain. Their strategy hinges on one powerful truth: people are more likely to believe small doubts whispered in private than to question someone who appears kind and helpful. What makes this behavior even more disturbing is how sociopaths portray themselves in the mess they've created. They play the role of peacemaker mediator, or even the person offering emotional support to the very people they've been turning against one another. Their ability to appear rational, sympathetic, and selfless makes their manipulation all the more effective. Victims are left in emotional turmoil, unsure of who to trust, and often blaming themselves for the fallout. Psychopaths, on the other hand, tend to operate with direct aggression. Their actions are more transparent, which makes them easier to detect and avoid. Sociopaths, in contrast, weaponize ambiguity and social dynamics. Their attacks are so indirect and layered that by the time someone realizes what's happening, deep damage has already taken place. Reputations ruined, friendships broken, entire environments poisoned. In the aftermath, the sociopath walks away clean, still admired, still trusted, sometimes even praised for their supposed efforts to bring peace. And the person they targeted is left questioning their own memory, sanity, and worth. This is why sociopaths don't just manipulate, they dominate entire ecosystems without ever getting caught. And understanding this pattern is crucial for protecting yourself before it's too late. If this insight is opening your eyes, consider subscribing to this channel. The more we understand the tactics of hidden manipulators, the stronger we become in guarding our peace and power. 3 sociopaths build armies of enablers. What you're about to realize may forever alter the way you view certain people in your life. While you're watching this, there are sociopaths operating quietly, assembling circles of influence, gathering loyal followers, and building what can only be described as armies of enablers. These individuals don't realize they're being used. They believe they're defending a friend, supporting a good person, or doing what's right. In truth, they're unknowingly fueling a campaign of manipulation and destruction. This isn't some far-fetched theory. It's happening right now in workplaces, in families, in tight-knit communities. And it's the third reason why sociopaths are exponentially more dangerous than psychopaths. Psychopaths tend to act alone. They use direct aggression, impulsive force, or intimidation. Sociopaths, on the other hand, understand the power of strategy, scale, and influence. They multiply their impact, not by doing more themselves, but by convincing others to act on their behalf. Think of the most likable, charismatic person you know. The one everyone turns to for advice. The one people defend without question. Now imagine that person is actually a sociopath who has carefully engineered their charm, their favors, and their friendships, not out of kindness, but as currency. Each connection they've built isn't just a relationship, it's a future weapon. When a sociopath wants to take someone down, they rarely get their hands dirty. They simply make a few phone calls, drop a few concerns into the right ears, and let their network do the rest. They whisper to one person that the target is unstable. To another, they frame them as unethical. To someone else, they play the victim claiming to be mistreated or betrayed. Within days, the target is surrounded by suspicion, hostility, or even open conflict, and no one can trace the source back to the sociopath. And here's the unsettling truth. These enablers are not bad people. In many cases, they're compassionate, loyal, and deeply committed to doing what they believe is right. But the sociopath has studied them, understands what they care about, what they fear, and what will motivate them to act. They feed each person a tailored narrative that appeals directly to their moral compass, their protective instincts, or their sense of duty. Even more dangerous is the sociopath's ability to infiltrate positions of influence. They form close ties with managers, community leaders, religious figures, and other decision-makers. They use charm and strategic flattery to earn trust, then quietly leverage that trust to destroy others. Careers are ended, reputations are ruined, and families are torn apart not through force, but through manipulation so subtle it looks like coincidence. Over time, the sociopath becomes the emotional center of their social group. They are the one everyone seeks for approval, support, or direction. People grow dependent on their validation. They'll defend them against any accusation, not just because they believe in them, but because their own sense of identity is now tied to that loyalty. Psychopaths, by contrast, don't have the patience or emotional intelligence to build these webs. They might recruit one or two accomplices, but they can't sustain the long-term influence that sociopaths master. That's why psychopaths often get caught. Their behavior is too direct, too reckless. Sociopaths, meanwhile, stay protected, surrounded by people who shield them, speak for them, and even attack their victims on their behalf. This is what makes sociopaths so insidious. They don't just destroy lives. They build systems that make it almost impossible to expose them. When a victim tries to speak out, the network reacts like an immune system attacking a foreign threat. The victim is discredited. Their motives are questioned. Their version of events is drowned out by a chorus of voices, insisting the sociopath could never do such a thing. The result: the victim isn't just fighting one manipulator. They're battling an entire reality created around them. They know what happened, but everyone else believes something else entirely. The sociopath's network becomes a machine for warping perception, making truth feel like madness, and lies feel like common sense. If what you've just heard resonates with you, if it reflects something you've seen, felt, or lived, know this: you are not imagining things. And you are not alone. The most dangerous kind of abuse is the one that no one else sees. If this insight is helping you see the truth behind the mask, consider supporting our mission to expose these patterns. Your support, whether by sharing this video or contributing, helps us bring clarity to those still trapped in confusion. Because knowledge isn't just power, it's protection, it's peace, and in many cases, it's survival. 4 sociopaths study and target your deepest vulnerabilities. Let's now explore one of the most unsettling truths about sociopaths, something far more sinister than what's commonly portrayed in media. What you're about to hear isn't just theory. It's a reality that could save you years of emotional collapse, financial devastation, and mental disorientation if you understand it in time. The fourth reason sociopaths pose a much greater danger than psychopaths lies in the method they use to destroy their victims. It's not random. It's not impulsive. It's calculated, cold, deliberate, and devastating. Unlike psychopaths, who often lash out with sudden visible acts of aggression, sociopaths move in silence. They don't explode. They infiltrate. They analyze you, the way a hacker studies a security system patiently, thoroughly, and with one goal: to break in. They learn your secrets, your fears, your hopes, your habits. They observe how you react to kindness, criticism, affection, and silence. Then they use all of it against you in the most effective way possible over time, and from the inside out. Consider this example, which may be more common than you'd think. Thomas meets Emily at a volunteer event. She's warm, articulate, and seems genuinely invested in his story. As weeks pass, Emily uncovers that Thomas is newly widowed, deeply lonely, and trying to rebuild his sense of self. She also learns that he owns his home, has a generous pension, and a longing to feel understood. Emily doesn't push. She lets trust bloom slowly. She makes Thomas feel important, seen, and safe. Behind every deep conversation, however, is an unspoken agenda. Emily listens to every word with a purpose. She discovers Thomas's guilt about not being present enough during his wife's final months. She learns about his strained relationship with his adult children and his insecurities about aging. What looks like emotional connection is actually psychological surveillance. Eventually, Emily begins her manipulation campaign. She questions his memory in subtle ways, casts doubt on his judgment, and frames herself as his only true ally. She manufactures small crises that require financial help, always justifying it with emotional appeal. Slowly, she disconnects him from his support network, one coincidence or misunderstanding at a time. And she does it so delicately that Thomas begins to doubt his own intuition, even when red flags appear. The genius and horror of what Emily does lies in her precision. She doesn't just take money. She dismantles Thomas's ability to trust others and, more importantly, himself. She isolates him, not with force, but by making him believe it's what he wants. She replaces his sense of belonging with dependence on her. She turns his desire for love into a weapon that cuts him off from everything that could protect him. This isn't a story of romance gone wrong. It's a blueprint of sociopathic exploitation. And the most terrifying part is that sociopaths often prey on those who are already in fragile states. Those mourning a loss, enduring a divorce, facing career upheaval, or simply longing for connection in a chaotic world. They don't show up as predators. They arrive as saviors. And while a psychopath might leave you with bruises, a sociopath leaves you questioning your own reality. They don't just rob you. They erase parts of your identity, your relationships, your confidence, your decision-making ability, all chipped away until the person you once were becomes unrecognizable. This is why so many victims of sociopaths find themselves repeating the same self-destructive patterns. It's not because they're naive. It's because their internal compass has been warped. Their instincts have been reshaped to see danger as comfort and manipulation as love. By the time they recognize the truth, they're often too deeply entangled financially, emotionally, even spiritually, to walk away without unraveling entirely. The sociopath has made themselves essential while making the victim feel useless. And in that psychological trap, victims often ask the most heartbreaking question of all: if I leave, who would I be without them? That is the full extent of the damage, when the very person destroying you becomes the only one you believe you need. This isn't drama, it's reality. And understanding it is the first step toward freedom. 5 sociopaths cause maximum damage while avoiding all consequences. Now take a moment and recall someone who deeply hurt you. Someone who caused real damage to your life, yet somehow walked away without facing any consequences. You knew what they did was wrong, and still they faced no punishment. That frustration, you felt that helplessness, that is the doorway into understanding the 5th, and perhaps most maddening reason why sociopaths are far more dangerous than psychopaths. Sociopaths are experts at inflicting maximum damage while appearing completely innocent. They don't just harm others, they do it in a way that allows them to walk away, untouch, their image intact, and their power unchallenged. This isn't by accident, it's by design. Sociopaths understand the difference between behavior that's harmful and behavior that's illegal. While psychopaths might lash out and leave clear evidence behind an assault, a threat, a stolen item, sociopaths prefer the shadows. They cause harm in subtle, indirect ways that are difficult, if not impossible, to prove. Their destruction falls into gray areas that most legal systems aren't equipped to deal with. And because of this, they almost never face justice. Have you ever tried to explain to someone that a certain person gives you an uneasy feeling, only to be told you were overreacting? Have you ever reported abuse or manipulation and been told there was no crime committed? Sociopaths thrive in this gap. They push just far enough to cause pain, but never far enough to break the law. They destroy reputations, careers, and families, all while staying under the radar. Let's say someone wants to ruin a coworker's life. A psychopath might yell threats, get violent, or behave in an obviously aggressive way. But a sociopath will take a slower, calculated approach. They'll spread small lies that poison the team against their target. They'll create doubt about the person's competence, subtly sabotage their work, and orchestrate conflict without ever leaving a trace. When the target gets fired, it looks like a natural result of performance issues. There's no crime, no evidence, no justice, just damage. And it goes even deeper. Sociopaths are masters at documenting interactions to cast themselves in a positive light. They'll save messages that show them as calm and reasonable, while provoking their victims into angry outbursts that can later be used as evidence against them. They shape the narrative so carefully that even when someone finally speaks up, the story sounds unbelievable. The sociopath appears polished, cooperative, and rational. The victim appears unstable, bitter, or obsessed. Even more dangerous is the way sociopaths manipulate the very systems designed to protect people. They charm police officers, judges, counselors, and therapists, presenting themselves as model citizens who are being targeted by someone irrational or unstable. They know exactly what to say to plant doubt in the minds of authority figures. And because the harm they cause is so carefully hidden, victims are often dismissed, invalidated, or completely ignored. That's what makes sociopaths so destructive. They don't just damage your life, they leave you with no path to justice. They walk away clean while you're left picking up the pieces. And worse, they learn from every encounter. They study what worked, what didn't, and they refine their methods with every new victim. They get smarter, more subtle, more dangerous. They build alliances with people who will defend them, people who will lie for them, people who will swear they're the kindest, most generous person they've ever met. Meanwhile, psychopaths, who tend to be more impulsive, often slip up. They act out in ways that are obvious, traceable, and prosecutable. They get caught. They get punished. But sociopaths, they can operate for years, even decades, without ever being held accountable. They destroy dozens of lives while still maintaining the appearance of a loving partner, a devoted friend, or a community leader. This is why, after hearing all 5 truths about sociopaths, you now hold a kind of knowledge that most people don't. You understand that they blend in, flawlessly create chaos, while playing victim build armies of enablers, target your most personal vulnerabilities, and walk away from devastation without consequences. But here's the part you can't afford to ignore. If you go back to ignoring your instincts, if you convince yourself that this only happens to other people, you're leaving the door wide open for it to happen to you. Your safety, your mental clarity, your relationships, they are worth defending. And that starts with listening to your gut. If someone feels too perfect, question it. If something feels off but you can't explain why, trust the feeling. And if your world starts subtly shifting after someone new enters your life, start asking why. Share this awareness with the people you care about. Teach them what to look for. That charming new presence in your life might be winning over everyone else. But if your loved ones understand the signs, they can help you see through the illusion. Knowledge is your first line of defense. Sociopaths rely on your blindness, your hesitation, and your desire to believe the best in people. But once you see the game for what it is, you become much harder to control. So stay alert, stay educated, and never forget your peace of mind is worth more than keeping the peace. The next step in protecting yourself is just a click away. Watch the recommended video on your screen now, because this journey into recognizing and resisting manipulation has only just begun. And what you learn next might be the very thing that saves you. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if you haven't already subscribed for more powerful insights rooted in Stoic philosophy and self-protection. Your voice matters. Your growth matters. Stay sharp.